I never imagined that one conversation could dismantle everything I believed about my relationship. My name is Ethan. I'm 32, and I spent 8 years with Sophia. 8 years filled with laughter, petty disagreements, late-night movies, and that quiet sense of safety that comes from being known without explanation. I was certain we were solid, that no matter what life threw at us, we'd bend, maybe bruise, but never break. I was wrong. For months, Sophia had felt distant, though she dismissed it every time I mentioned it. "It's nothing, Ethan," she'd say with a soft smile, waving away my concern. "I just need space." That word became a silent thief, gradually stealing the closeness we had built. Eventually, she proposed what she called a friendly separation, insisting we needed time apart to think about our future. I agreed, partly because I loved her, and partly because I wanted to believe it was temporary, just a rough patch we'd get through. The morning she suggested it, we sat across from each other at the small kitchen table in our Denver apartment, coffee growing cold in our hands. Her eyes were unusually gentle, her voice carrying that unsettling calm you only notice when something is wrong. "Ethan, I think we need a pause. I don't want to hurt you, but I think this will be better for both of us." She said it like she was offering mercy, but the weight of her words crashed into me all the same. I nodded, forcing a smile, trying to keep my chest from tightening. In the weeks that followed, we followed her plan. Separate apartments, separate routines, separate lives. It was disorienting. Still living in the same city, yet feeling like strangers. I tried to stay busy, spending time with friends, throwing myself into work, pretending not to notice her when our paths crossed in the mornings or evenings. But every glance, every laugh she shared with someone else cut deeper than I wanted to admit. That's when I met Ava. I met her at a local art gallery in Denver. She was quirky, vibrant, with a laugh that felt like sunlight breaking through rain. We connected instantly over a ridiculous debate about abstract art. Soon, I found myself looking forward to hearing her voice, to seeing her smile, to feeling understood again. Ava wasn't a replacement, nothing close to that, but she became a small spark I hadn't realized I was missing. Weeks passed. I was careful. Sophia didn't know about Ava, and nothing we did felt dishonest. It was just coffee, walks through Washington Park, long conversations about everything and nothing. I convinced myself I could keep my life neatly divided, that a little happiness wouldn't hurt anyone. I was wrong again. It was a Friday evening. Sophia had gone out to dinner with friends, one of her long-standing girls' nights I was never invited to. I thought it would be harmless to see Ava. We wandered the city streets, laughing at the small absurdities of our lives, and eventually ended up in a tiny cafe in Capitol Hill that smelled like vanilla and old books. The way Ava looked at me, really looked at me, made me realize how long it had been since I'd felt truly seen. For the first time in months, my smile wasn't forced. I didn't know Sophia had changed her plans. She wasn't supposed to come home that night. After dinner, she took a different route, hoping to avoid running into me. And then she stopped cold when she saw us through the cafe window. The world seemed to freeze, though I didn't understand why at first. She stood on the sidewalk beneath a streetlight, arms crossed, face pale. That composed calm she always wore was gone. When I noticed her, Ava stopped mid-sentence, eyes widening. "Do you know her?" she asked softly. I swallowed hard. "Yes," I said quietly. "That's Sophia." Sophia's expression shifted, shock melting into something darker. Anger, betrayal, confusion, maybe all of it at once. I wanted to explain, to say this wasn't what it looked like, that Ava wasn't a replacement. But the words stuck. Without saying anything, Sophia crossed the street and disappeared into the night. I didn't follow. I didn't know if I should. The cafe suddenly felt colder, and Ava's hand on mine was the only warmth grounding me. In that moment, I realized the friendly separation we'd clung to was a fragile lie we both wanted to believe. And now it was shattered. The next morning, Sophia didn't come by. She didn't call. I left a short note on the counter in my new apartment, careful not to sound accusatory. "We need to talk when you're ready." I didn't expect a response, and none came. Instead, I spent the day wandering the city, replaying the night over and over, trying to understand how something so carefully labeled had turned into something unrecognizable. By evening, she was at my door. Her hair was pulled back, her blouse wrinkled, and there was a tremor in her voice I'd never heard before. We need to talk," she said. The words felt heavy between us. I stepped aside and let her in. I expected yelling, tears, accusations. None of it came. She sank into the armchair and studied me as if trying to read my thoughts. "I saw you last night," she said, her voice tight. Her eyes were a storm I didn't want to enter. "How could you?" I stayed silent. There was no simple answer. How could I explain something I barely understood myself? "Sophia, Ava isn't. This isn't what you think," I said slowly. "She's not a replacement." "Not what I think?" she repeated, lips pressed thin. We agreed on a friendly separation. I thought you'd use this time to reflect, not to find someone else. The betrayal in her voice was raw, and in that moment I saw the truth. She had never considered the consequences of her choice. Her idea of friendly had been fragile, naive, and now completely broken. I wasn't trying to hurt you, I said softly. I wasn't trying to replace anything. I just found someone who reminded me what it feels like to be seen. That's all. She laughed sharply, the sound edged with disbelief. Seen? You think that justifies this? We were together 8 years, Ethan. Her voice cracked. 8 years. And this is how it ends. I took a deep breath. This isn't about justification. It's about survival. I needed to feel alive again. I needed to know I still mattered. Her hands trembled as she covered her face. I never meant for this to happen, she whispered. For a moment, I saw the woman I once loved. But the longer I looked, the clearer it became. What we had was already gone. She had created the distance and couldn't accept what followed. I don't want to fight, I said finally. I just need honesty. Can we really fix this? Or are we just pretending? She looked up, eyes red but resolute. I don't know. Maybe we were lying to ourselves for a long time. I thought a friendly separation would protect us from the truth. She paused. Seeing you with her made me realize I can't control this. Maybe it's really over. Silence settled around us. I wanted to argue, to find a way back. But I knew she was right. Some things can't be repaired with words. I understand, I said quietly, and I respect it. I hope you find what you're looking for, Sophia. She nodded and left. After the door closed, I stood there for a long time, feeling an unexpected calm. It wasn't happiness, but it was relief. The pretending was over. A few days later, Ava and I met again, sitting quietly in Washington Park. I watched her talk, watched her eyes light up over simple joys, and I realized something important. Life doesn't wait for permission. People come and go. Some leave scars, others leave warmth. And sometimes what feels like betrayal is actually freedom wearing a different face. I didn't know what the future held for Sophia or for Ava and me, but I knew I wouldn't let fear or loyalty to a broken past stop me from living. For the first time in months, I felt alive. And when Ava laughed, really laughed, I understood that sometimes the end of one chapter isn't tragedy. It's the beginning of a story you've been too afraid to write. Maybe that's what separation really is. Not punishment, not loss, not betrayal, but clarity. And finally, the chance to see yourself reflected clearly, unfiltered, unafraid, and free.